good morning. Welcome to episode 61. We're back hitting the bricks today. Johnny Killick will join us shortly. He's back with us. Today we've got a very special one. It's a very interesting one. The man passed recently. We're doing Bertie Kidd. Bertie, before we go into it, I'd like to say we're not here to put Bertie down. We're not here to glorify as well. John was a good friend of Bertie Kidd's. As I said, he just passed recently at the age of 92 down in Victoria. So we're here today to do his story. We're not here to bag anyone or anything. But we're going to do his story. It's an interesting story. He was a very well-known Australian criminal. He came over here from the UK as a teenager. By the 1960s, he was already very well known, and that's when John met him and they became friends. John will explain all that shortly. He did all sorts of things. He was involved in some robberies, some forgeries, some banks, safe cracking, etc., etc. It's a very interesting story. We're here on location at a laundromat. John will explain that as well, where it was alleged something happened. And it's a laundromat here at Randwick, and it's still got the original sign. It's very interesting, folks, so it's going to be a good one today. We're back on location. We've got John, and we'll see you shortly. G'day and welcome back. Today is Friday, the 1st of August. As I said earlier, we are in Randwick. We are doing Bertie Kidd today. I think I said earlier he was 92. He was just shy of his 92nd birthday and recently passed in Victoria. We've got the man who's coming on shortly. John Killick's with us. He was a personal friend of Bert's, and we're going to talk about his life and times. As I said, we're not here to slag anyone or glorify. We just wish to talk about this, what this man got up to. He was a well-known Australian criminal. So without further ado, I would say up and away with Johnny K. Come in, mate. I got a bit of a TAA flashback then, John.
Yeah, the stories are getting better and better.
Mate,
yeah.
Great to see him.
Yeah, hi everybody. And
he's back.
It's great to be back with Maccas, and we've got a really good story today about Bertie Kidd. And as you said, we're not here to glorify Bertie.
No.
But we're also not here
to slag him.
To cast aspersion on his... Well, it's about a life.
Yep.
This is a story about a life of a person. And I'm a great believer that every person has got a great story to tell. All our audience, if I could get them aside and talk to them one-on-one, yep, and go through, I'm sure we'd get a book out of everybody. So this is one of those stories. This is just one of the stories in the city. Yep. Bertie Kidd, but he did gain notoriety, particularly in the underworld. He wasn't so well known to the public. Only until recently, but
he was a tough customer.
He was probably they say his game as Ned Kelly. He was probably as game as Ned Kelly. He definitely was. You know, he had a heap of go in him, probably more than just about any crim that I know.
And you first met him, John, in the 60s, was it, I believe?
No, I was at, believe it or not, I was down in the H Division, the notorious place at Pentridge, where thugs in uniform used to bash people and get paid for it and actually get promoted for it. He came down there at a time when the riots started down there, and Bertie was represented at the time by a very famous Queen's Counsel, and he really had that behind him, knowing that he had that legal expertise behind him.
Yep,
he was looking after his interests. Gave him that confidence to actually, when he was down in H Division, say, "Well, you touch me, and I'll have you in court."
Yeah,
and you'll be out of a job. And they took it serious. They took that serious. And as far as I know, he always said he never had a hand laid on him by a prison officer, but actually it was a guy, he was known as a bit of a dog, Sammy Hutchison. Right. His name was attacked Bertie down there, and Bertie had to go back, and then they broke it up. But that was the only time Bertie
He could
had
handle himself by the sounds of it.
Bertie was small, kept fit,
Yeah.
had a heap of go on him. If you're fit and got a heap of go on you, then you've always got a chance.
Yeah.
And, but people wouldn't stuff with Bertie because they had a reputation that he'd back up. And, and the reputation went at the end that he'll kill you.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll talk about that later because Bertie was suspected of at least 2 murders, others as well, but certainly 2 murders that were prominent in the media. I know the stories behind them. We're here in the area here where the first one occurred, and it was 1991 in May, and a laundromat across the road, and we've actually tracked down the laundromat. Believe it or not, it's still open.
I can't believe it. It's still got the original sign.
It's got the original sign on top.
And shocking day to day, but
well, this was in 1991. You've got to remember. But what was alleged is that this park here, and I think we'll show photos of the park later.
Yep.
It was alleged that Bertie waited there. It was night. The laundromat was owned by the victim's wife. The victim was Roy Thurgood, a thug, ex-fighter, tough guy. I've met him, a very tough guy.
Bit of a crim and
very heavy crim, but was believed to be one of the killers of one Michael Sayers. Now, Mick was a good friend of mine, so I met him down at Pendridge as well. Mick got in a lot of trouble gambling. He was a very heavy gambler, even down there.
Debts.
He owed a lot of money at the time of his death, and he was gunned down. He was drunk, got out of his car. He his girlfriend was in the car, got out.
That was outside the flats where he lived.
He went to his house and went across to the unit, and the lights were turned off. And if he hadn't been drunk, that would have alerted him. But it didn't, and then they'd come out of the shadows. He ran, but he was drunk, and they shot him in the back, killed him. And I was down in Melbourne. That was February 1985, I think it was. I'm pretty sure, it was February 85. And
they've done just after on that.
We've done. It's just after Valentine's Day, and that's. Believe it or not, I was actually on the run at the time. I'd escaped from up at Queensland, and I saw Birdie was up there. I'll talk about that later, but Birdie was actually following around when I was there, and it was for a gold bullion thing. We'll talk about that shortly. But Birdie was in everything. He was in everything. Well, the thing is, but he was actually in jail up there at Bogger Road, and Mick come up to see him up there, and they wouldn't let him see him, and they turned him away, so they never actually met, and he always was upset about that too, and he found out, or he said that he found out who the killers were. One was Roy Thurgood, and the other one, he said, was Des Lewis. Now, both of them were murdered, so naturally, Bert became a suspect. But we've got to say it here and now, and we're not glorifying him or we're not putting him down to cast aspersions on him, but at the same time, it's one thing being suspected. And there might have been a motive there too. But he was never charged.
He was never charged.
He was never charged.
Alleged.
It was always alleged. He was questioned. He was questioned about it. He had an alibi. And, alibis, when you've got more than one person, I think he was in a restaurant when it happened. So you've got to take note of that maybe, the fact he was never charged. But they did say later, he was later charged with some home invasions. And they said that the weapon used in the home invasions, it was, I think it was a shotgun, was the same one that was used to kill Thurgood. So
I read that.
That is damning, but if that was the case, why didn't they follow through on that? So, that was brought up later. But I think we'll show footage. There's a park just here where we're standing, and it was alleged that Birdie waited there in the park.
In the shadows, just over here.
In the shadows.
There's plenty of foliage and trees and stuff.
That's right. Now, he waited there. It was night time. The laundromat closed. it was owned by Thurgo's wife.
I was going to say, what was the background of the laundromat, John?
Well, his wife owned it.
Yeah, right.
Thurgo's wife owned it. And he came out, he got in the car. Now, if he'd got in and driven away, he would have, nothing would have happened. But he sat in the car. I don't know whether he was having a smoke or what he was doing. Somebody, and a lot of people say it was Bert, somebody ran across the road. It's not very far.
No, it's a scoot, and there would have been a lot less traffic back then as well.
Shot him in the head.
Wow.
Yeah, killed him.
One straight in the head. Yeah.
And that was it. Now, that was quite sensational at the time. There was a lot of publicity about it, a lot of talk in the underworld about it. And then not long after that, I think it was the next year, the other guy who was alleged to have killed, been in the murder of Mick Sayers, was also gunned down outside his place. And I think it was in Bondi.
That's interesting.
And he was gunned down. His name was Desi Lewis. He was underworld figure and an ex-boxer, a good boxer, another tough guy. But he was gunned down and shot and killed. Yes. Birdie was also questioned about that, and once again had an alibi for that.
Yeah.
We might as well go for the trifecta. There's another shooting around that area.
I'll take over there, John. Give you a hand to rest, mate, because there we go.
There was another shooting that took place around about in this vicinity and in the time when Jockey Smith, this was before Thurgood, when Jockey Smith was released from jail, he completed a life sentence. I think he did about 15 years. They had a history. They were in jail together down in Pentridge. I was there with both of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, you met Jockey, didn't you?
I knew Jockey really well. But what happened is that there's a personal story about it. I'm not going to go in and demean a woman involved. There was a woman involved.
Right.
But it was over a woman. There was an argument about this particular woman. When Bertie got out, there was bad blood between him and Smith. And then it was alleged that when Smith had only been out less than 24 hours, and I think it was at Bondi, he had a unit in Bondi there. Anyway, he and the woman were coming home from dinner. And it's alleged that Bert chased him up the stairs.
Jesus.
And of course he couldn't go anywhere and got him outside the door of his unit and shot him quite a few times, but didn't kill him.
Yeah.
It's remarkable Smith didn't die. He had 3 or 4 bullets in him, and when he was in hospital it was all over the headlines. They thought he was going to die.
Yeah.
And but he survived. But it really was the end of Jockey Smith because he was notorious, a criminal, very notorious also, and had pulled off a couple of good escapes. One of the escapes that he did pull off was he dressed up as a visitor and walked out at Pentridge. Now that was
I heard about that. You've got to give him a.
But well, you know, he did a lot of stuff. Smith was notorious, and so what happened is that he went up the coast and stayed with Julie Cashman, very infamous. They call her the Black Widow because two of her guys were killed.
Okay.
One broke her out of it.
You don't want to go on a date with her, mate, yeah.
Well, Julie Cashman, one guy, when they were young, busted her out of her where she was in custody.
Yeah.
He died. He got killed. I'm not sure how he got killed. I think he might have been killed in an accident. But and then she linked up with another guy, and during an armed robbery, he I think it was up in Queensland. They tried to rob this place. The security guard was standing 100 metres away, fired a shot, and the minute of one chance, killed the guy. Jeez. Shot him through the head and killed him. 100 metres away, and he died right in front of it.
Yeah.
So anyway, Julie Cashman, she'd got out of jail, and she put a book out. and I think they call it the Angel of Death. That was a nickname. But
she wouldn't be lined up to go out with her, though. Yeah.
Well, I wrote to her at Bogger Road when Jackie, the girl who busted me out in Queensland, she went up there for a little while, and well, you've spoken to Jackie, and we got her a job in the library. Julie Cashman got her a job in the library up there and looked after her, which I can only speak highly of her. She got a daughter now, Jade, who I believe is still doing okay. But anyway, Jockey went up and stayed with Julie for a little while at Gosford, but then he went in to a department store up at Gosford. I think he stole something. It might have been an iron. And the store detectives got onto him. These days, you just walk out of them. They won't even.
I wouldn't even talk.
But they come after him. Jockey pulled a gun out, and
over an iron.
Yeah,
it was a bit of a stupid move. But
it wasn't. It wasn't because he was on parole for life.
Oh right.
And and they would have definitely pulled him back in.
Mm.
He didn't want to go back in, and plus he'd been shot.
Pinching an iron.
Yeah. Well, it got him in anyway.
A lot of laundry.
Well, he's all over the news again. Confusing a gun to escape over an iron, and he went down.
He wasn't shy to pull that gun, was he, Jockey Smith?
No. He also, he got into a fracas with a cop in a phone booth too, and the cop said he tried to pull the trigger and shoot him there. That's why he got a big sentence originally. Anyway, what happened is he went down to Victoria. And to see a guy, another notorious criminal, Chris Binns, who's still in jail, shouldn't be. I think Chris had done too long and they should let him out. Chris had never killed anyone that I know of. But anyway, he went there, but he didn't know Chris was under surveillance at the time.
Right.
So Jockey went there and then he left and he started to be followed. There was a cop behind him and Jockey slowed down and it made the cop suspicious. The cop followed him. They got out of the garage. Jockey got out, and they both pulled guns and they're circling around each other. And a bystander distracted Jockey, and the cop killed him, shot him dead. And that was, I think, 5th of December 1992. I think.
92, I think it was. Yeah.
So Birdie was alleged also to have shot Jockey, was never charged with that. So we're talking about a guy that to a degree become a bit of a legend in the underworld.
Yep.
Because he was allegedly got away with these 3 shootings.
Yeah.
He had alibis for all of them. And you've got to say, now that he's dead, now that he's gone, he was never convicted, never charged with any of those things. And I think it would be wrong to say, and some people do say it, that he killed this guy, he killed that guy. I think it's wrong. I think what we can say is that's the legend. We're talking about a life. We're talking about a life. That's the life of Bertie Kidd, that he's alleged by some people to have committed these 2 murders and to have shot Jockey Smith. Whether or not he did, it's gone to the grave with him.
That's right. Yeah, that allegations and what have you. And in his earlier days too, John, I was doing a bit of research and bit of safe cracking. There was some counterfeit or forgeries. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, Birdie did a bit of time in the army too, in the late...
He did Nashos, I think.
Nashos in the late 50s and learned a bit there.
Which saved him from being deported. Dutton was trying to deport him.
That's exactly right. We'll talk about that. But the thing is, that was right at the end. But what happened is he got a job, I just forget, some construction company where he learned about explosives down in Melbourne. So he learned about explosives. Then he learned from a guy who's one of the best safe crackers in Australia, taught him how to blow safes. Another guy taught him how to make keys. And Bert was a good learner, and that's what he wanted to be a criminal.
Yeah.
He wanted to be a criminal because...
He was learning a trade. Yeah.
Well, he had a bad experience as a young guy and got locked up and was totally innocent, and it made him bitter.
Yep. As it's done to many people, hasn't it?
Well, I think you should tell our audience about his background, where he come from and whatnot, and then I'll get in about what happened there.
Yeah, well, I said in the intro that
You said,
basically, he came out as a teenager from England, from the UK. His parents come out. I'm presuming they may have been
Brothers,
10-pound poms. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I believe
they may have been.
Yeah.
But it was
It was 14,
by the 60s, and through my research, I mean, I never met the man, you know him, but research there that he got into some banknotes. I don't know if you want to touch on that.
Yeah,
or
I think we should touch on that. That's
$10 notes.
That's a big story, and the Q-suited I spoke about in Melbourne.
Yep.
I didn't mention his name, Brian Burke. Now, Brian Burke actually got him off on the charge on the 10. That's the first time that he went to jail. Now, he didn't go to jail till his late 30s. But then he finished up doing about 30 years in jail of the last 50. You know, so but what happened? All of a sudden, Melbourne was flooded with $10 notes. These counterfeit deals, and even paper boys were, which was ridiculous. And some people that Bert knew were doing getting their kids.
Yeah,
you know, so that really set the alarms off. And what happened is that soon they tracked down some.
Sorry, John, they're coming for us, mate.
Well, yeah,
folks, we've got some stuff.
Chocolate? Where's the chocolate?
Oh, it's the Ambos. It's the Ambos. You're safe. It's the Ambos. Sorry about that. We'll continue.
Well, all this weather, some poor bugger's probably.
It's a shocking day. Yeah. Absolutely shocking.
Anyway, look, what happened there is that he was charged. He was charged, a couple others as well, and he beat it. He beat it. Brian Burke got him off on that, and Brian Burke actually in his office had it was actually a duplicate, not a duplicate, a real false counterfeit $10 note hanging on his wall. Yeah, because it was a great case that he got him off on. Now, but Birdie later always said that he did it. And I'm not giving it away because it's in a book that's been written about him.
Yep.
And it's also, he said that when he came up to Sydney, he gave the boys heaps of $10 notes.
$10 notes he was handing out there in abundance.
Yeah, and one of the managers, I think it was a Maroubra Bay Hotel, told him, piss off, he wouldn't serve him anymore. He said all the blokes coming in
$10 notes and buying a few
false ones, all these false ones. And Bertie swears it wasn't him that did it, but he gave some of the guys some notes.
Well, $10 back then would have got a few beers.
Oh, for sure, yeah. So that's one that he did get away with. There's no doubt about that. But he did beat it, and he was very proud that he beat that, and Brian Burke also. And that's the job of a lawyer, to get you off. His job is not, as long as you tell him you didn't do it, he's going to defend you.
That's we're getting pissed on a bit here. It's increasing a bit. Do you want us to move, Maccas? Or
what about under the trees over there?
We're all right?
Okay, all right.
Okay. Sorry, so we'll continue.
So
that was interesting, because when on my research it come up with safe cracking and some forgeries and
well, he learned all those things. He was pretty good at them. But the thing is that he later branched off into armed robberies and stuff, and that was his downfall, really. Yeah. But Bertie would try anything. But I met him there. As I said, he was down H Division. That's when the riots were on, and and I actually heard him singing out to a guy called Ackland, who was a beast of a man, giant and a bash artist, and Bertie dared him to hit him, excuse me, and he was 3 times as big as Bert. He didn't hit him, and so I met him. From there, he went up to the camp, and that's when the problem happened with Jockey Smith. Had the fallout there.
I read also, John, there was a time where he got into a scrap with a robbery with a copper, and someone got wounded there. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll come to that in a minute.
Okay.
I'll try and keep it in chronological order.
Sure, mate.
So we're down in Melbourne, and what happened, although they didn't get him on the counterfeit things, They got him on a safe, and he only got, I think it was $187 out of his safe. And they gave him 5 years, and he's always said they were evening up.
Yep.
And he could have got longer. He could have got longer, but he pleaded guilty on it, and Brian Burke told him to plead guilty, because if he'd pleaded not guilty, they would have brought out all this stuff about him, and he probably would have got longer. He pleaded guilty, and you get a discount for pleading guilty, and he got 5 years. I think he'd done about 3.5 on that one. But that was for about $187.
Yeah, right.
But he's always said that was an even up. So anyway, he went to Sydney. That's right. Just after that, when he got out, while he was waiting to go to court, there was a knock on his door. He opened the door and got shot.
Shit.
Yeah, he got shot. I think it was in the stomach. And so that put court off. Then a lot of people said that he shot himself, and Birdie always said he shot himself. Whether he shot himself or someone shot him with. But anyway, when he got out, he got the message. He was warned to get out of Sydney, out of Melbourne.
And he did so?
So was Mick Sayers.
Yep.
They both went up to Sydney. And that's when I ran into him again in 78. That's when I got set up by Roddy Roderson and them for the bank in Adelaide. But have a look at the list of there. The people I ran into on remand at Long Bay: Bertie Kidd, Mick Sayers was there. Nettie Smith was there. Jockey Smith was there.
Yeah.
There was just anybody who was Murray Riley was there, and all his gang, the crook, the ex-cop.
Some big names.
There were so many ex-crims there. Reggie Hayes, the boxer, the old crim, got out and shot the lover of his ex-wife. Said told everyone he was going to do it, and shot his eye out. Didn't kill him. Yeah, didn't kill him, but the thing is...
Excuse me one sec. Do you want to move, Marcus? There's a shelter right there, because we're getting pretty soaked. We'll be back shortly. We're just going to move, folks. G'day and welcome back. We're undercover now, viewers. So John's going to continue with Bert's story. He's just been warned out of Melbourne, and he's headed up to Sydney.
Well, yeah, actually, then I ran into him in June 78.
Yep.
July 78. We were all in Long Bay at the MRRC, and that's where Murray Riley was there, Nettie Smith was there. There was just so many crooks. Kenny Durley, Jockey Smith was there. Jockey Smith had just been arrested, and he was actually separated. He wasn't able to mix whether they had him in Segra. But he was in the jail at the time. Otherwise, he and Bert probably would have went into it, But there was quite just the amount of criminals there, and the charges they had. Like as I said, there was just so many people. I won't even mention them all. There's just so many of them. But I've never been in a place like just a remand section. They were all on remand.
Yep.
Charged of all these heavy offences. And Birdie did get bail. I got extradited to Queensland. And what happened is that I got extradited, to South Australia. And it took me 3.5 years, but I did 3.5 years and beat that in the High Court of Australia. Now,
you did, I remember that.
Yeah, and bank robbers don't win High Court appeals unless they didn't do it. So I didn't do that one. So in the meantime, Birdie, he did his time, did a bit of time there and got out. And I remember that I got arrested again in 1984 up in Queensland. I'd only been out a couple of years, and I got arrested up there with Jackie. And when I went in, I ran into Bert. He was up at Bogger Road. And they'd got him on this bloody incredible story. He and a couple of guys, they hid inside a plane that was actually carrying gold bullion and also $1 million.
I was going to say, it was about $1 million.
$1 million of reserve notes. that were going to various banks. Now, they hid themselves in crates. Can you believe it?
It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's what I mean. He was diverse. He'd go from one thing to another. Counterfeiting, the whole works. Safe cracking, forged keys, where he did some jobs with that. But, he wanted to be a criminal. That's all he did.
Yeah.
That's all he ever wanted to do.
So and what happened there? They stowed away on this plane, or they smuggled on this plane?
Yeah, they stowed away on the plane. They got themselves put in there in crates. Shipping the crates. But unfortunately, at Rockhampton, their hand come out, and someone saw their hand come out. I don't know which one it was, so they got them. Well, I ran into Bert. They got him on that, and it caused a big stink. They had him up in Rockhampton, I think it was, and when I saw him, he was still 3 weeks after they arrested him, still pissing blood. Yeah. They near killed him. They near killed him. Those country cops. They very nearly killed him. He had one of the worst hidings and they can give you pretty bad hidings. They know how to do it.
I believe phone books and things like that were.
Oh, God knows what they. Yeah, that's true. But that's when Mick Sayers come up to see him, but they wouldn't let him see him. And of course, Mick got killed just after that. That was 84. That was 84 when I saw him. That was about August 84. Actually, July 84. I escaped in August, and I was down in Melbourne with Jackie 6 months later in February when Mick got killed, and Bertie was still there. So he got out with Bertie.
There would have been no love loss after Mick got killed with Bertie.
Oh yeah, no, he was absolutely remarkable. But there's another thing I should say. One of the other things he used to do was dope horses.
Yeah, right.
And I didn't like it. There's things. We're just
You're
different.
A big animal lover.
Well,
too,
yeah.
Like me,
well, he loved animals.
Yeah.
He loved animals. He had dogs and stuff like that. But doping horses was a profession to him. And he told me once that he doped the whole card. They're the favourites in every race. Got them. Yeah. But where he and I had a fallout and didn't talk for 2 years is I wrote a book. I used to follow this horse, pale-faced Adios, all around Australia. And true, I idolised this horse. And when I was over in Adelaide, I wrote a story, tried to write a book about it. Gloria went and seen him, the owner and the driver. And they said, look, somebody else is writing a story about him, unfortunately. So I wrote this article and got it published over 2 weeks in the Sunday Mail. I idolised this horse. When I got out, I followed him, went to all his races, and went over to Adelaide to see him in the Dominion. So, yeah, and that was in 76. So, in 78, he bloody doped pale-faced Adios, and because I didn't know, and the horse was a hot favourite. And he said it was so easy, he just got in the back there, and Pike had bloody left it unattended, and this was the best horse in Australia, and they doped him, and he come out and he did what he always does, went straight to the front, but halfway around there he's gone, he's drifting back, and he staggered off the course. They knew that something happened to him, and I don't go to horse ever the same again after that. And we had a fallout about it. He didn't, and he thought about it, and I'll say this to Bert. Years later, he come to me. He said, "John, you were right. He was a champion horse. I shouldn't have touched that." He said that, yeah. And that's the only time I've ever known him to apologise about anything, because he didn't have remorse.
Yeah.
Not about his crimes. And, but so that's just something I'm throwing in there that because he was quite successful. He owned a few races. He owned a horse called Wise So.
Yeah.
And it won down in Melbourne, won by 8 lengths one day, and they 6-1. They won a heap on it down there. Yeah. So, he was involved in everything.
Yeah.
And so here we are up there. He's nearly been killed. I get out illegally, and then Mick gets killed. So next thing, these I was arrested in, finally got me in 85, middle 85. I go in there, who's there? The long mate, Birdie's there again in 85. But he got bail again, he got out on bail. But he did do some time there.
They keep us apart a bit.
No.
You're right to have a chat.
Yeah, no, we're okay. We were both on remand again at that stage, you know. But I did a bit of time, quite a bit of time at Parkway and whatnot. Didn't run into him, and that's when I got out. I didn't see him, and that's when these killings happened. That's when all that happened. Just after I got out.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do it, but I didn't even know anything about it. But I seen all that. So what happened then? It was I've seen him a few times, bumped into him a few times. We had a few drinks down at Balmain, talked about racing and whatnot, told me a few stories. He was going okay.
He was keen on the GGs and he's keen on the horses. And
well, yeah, he used to bet too, but yeah, but he worked with George Freeman too. He worked for George Freeman and got a lot of inside information. As I said, pulled a lot of doped a lot of horses. Yeah, the one story he told me that I always remembered. He told me this one in '78, but what happened is that they bought this horse. It was just not a bad sprinter, and he used to get top weights in welter races. Welter races is not quite as good as open class, you know, as well. And he used to carry a big weight. They ran him dead. They ran him dead for 12 months. Just pulled it up, and it ran back the field. And it got its weight down from about 61 k's down to about 53. So he was getting in race at about 8 kilos.
yeah.
You know.
Lovely weather.
Shocking, yeah.
John.
Yeah.
I hope the sound's okay, folks.
Yeah.
The weather, it's just bucketing down.
We always run into something.
We run into something.
Yeah.
But I'll hold that a bit closer, mate.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So this horse, they ran him dead for 12 months. So then he gets into a midweek welter and he's on the limit, the bottom, which means he's carrying 8 kilos less than he should. Now, 8 kilos, it's equivalent to about 6 or 7 lengths. So this horse, they're going to let him go. He should win by 10 lengths.
Yeah.
But they plunged on it. They put heaps on it. They backed it in from 50s into about 6 to 1. They had it in Quinellas. They had it in bloody trifectas. And the bookies knew they must have got the one of the jockeys because when they jumped, another horse bumped into it, knocked it back to last. Yeah. And it pulled out at the top of the straight, started to fly down the outside and got beaten a photo for third. If it gets third, they get all the trifectas. They still wouldn't want a fortune.
Yeah.
And they had it for a place. But it ran fourth, they got nothing. They lost all their money. So that was one story I always remembered it. You know, they would have won minutes. It's actually hailing.
We might have to stop for a minute, viewers. It's actually hailing now, so we're going to have to stop. It's always fucking something, isn't it? We'll just stop for a minute. We're back, folks. We've just gone through hail and Christ knows what, so John will continue. You should be able to hear us now, so, mate, we'll continue with what you were saying, but also there's an interesting, the Guernsey. Mate.
Oh, yeah.
That's an interesting
I've got a bit.
story too.
Well, that's the story I told you about the horse, but that he told me that story in '78. But anyway, look, what happened after next time I saw Bert was I'm up at I'd seen him a few times in the city and whatnot, and as I said, we went to Balmain, had a few drinks and whatnot, but he told me quite a few stories. But I moved up to Canberra, and I was staying up at Canberra, and then I get a call up there. I was somewhere else, but I get a call, and the message was that Bertie wanted me to come down and meet him at the Kirribilli Hotel because I live near there. but I was living in Canberra now, but he thought I was still in Kirribilli, and met him in the Kirribilli Hotel. Yeah, and it was important. So I thought, okay. So at this time I was going okay. I was doing quite well, doing writing and stuff like that, but, and you know, believe it or not, I was actually making a living at Canberra Casino on a system on the baccarat, and it was winning. I wouldn't lie about it. That's true. Anyway, so I go down there, and I meet him in the hotel, and there he had across the road. He had this red Mercedes convertible. And it was his girlfriend's, but he had this really nice.
Give the impression it was.
Well, yeah, it was. No, he told me it was her. It's a really nice looking girl, but she had drug problems. This one, and she finished up died of an overdose later on when he was in jail. It's a really sad story, but yeah, she was quite rich. Anyway, I walk in, we'll have a beer, sit down. He said, "You've got a Guernsey." I said, what are we playing an old footy match? I said, what are you going to play, Walker? And he said, no. He said, no, you've got a Guernsey. We're going to hit the casino. I said, oh, the casino, yeah. Well, at the time it wasn't Star City, but they just built the Sydney casino. It was actually temporary until they got Star City built. Yeah. And I got in early, and one night I was betting pretty heavy, and they gave me a card to be a high roller, because they wanted to fill it up, the high rollers, because I was just starting. So I used to drive up the back of the casino, upstairs on the roof, knock on the door, like in the movies, the peephole, and they let you in. And Bertie said, now you're a high roller, we go up on the roof. Bad luck I'm putting my head on, show. I mean, Bertie didn't,
Yeah, exactly.
So we go, we go in, and 5 or 6 of us rush in, and we get all the money in the casino. I said, Bert, it's not going to work. I said, you know how many people, he said, they haven't got guns, we got the drop. And I said, Bert, there'll be blokes there we don't even know. We don't know who they are, they've got guns. I said, we will get shot dead. And I said, even if we get the money, where we're going to go, we're on the roof, we've got to get out. Yeah. We'll have to bust through the bloody barrier. I said, cops aren't all that far away. They'll have helicopters, they'll have everything, they'll get us, Yeah. I said, we'll never do it. He said, I'm telling you, we'll do it. I worked it out. He had to go with him. He would have done it. Yeah. I said, who are the team? He said, I can't tell you. Yeah. So I said, I'm not. There's no way, Bert. I said, I'm out. Yeah. He said, you're missing out on a good thing. I said, look, I know. Anyway, we parted. So that was the last time I seen him free, because the next thing wasn't all that long after that I hear. He goes, I think it was 97, he goes up to Queensland with the same team, I think. Yeah. But among that team was an undercover.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so they knew what he was doing. And they did a job on this factory. I think it was all that stuff you make amphetamines with. Yeah. Heaps and heaps of it. Yeah. Now, before that, he'd been doing home invasions, which I didn't think that was his style. He was doing home invasions, and he admitted he'd done some of them, and he got caught in some of them as well. So up there, the undercover cop brought him undone. Bertie had a shootout with a cop. I don't know whether it was with the undercover. Bertie managed to get him in the arm. I think he got him in the arm. Yeah. He got him in the arm. Yeah, but that one bloke told me that. There were about 20 shots fired, and they were just like you see in the movies. You know.
That's a big shootout. Yeah.
Yeah, but they were missing. Luckily, bang, 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 bang. They were all missing, but Bertie got him in the arm, and that was the end of it. Yeah. But anyway, they got him on that.
So you would have got a flogging for that, mate.
Well, he got 11 years for that. He got 11 years for that. Then he came down to Sydney before he'd finished, and they hit him on all these home invasions, and. They upped the sentence to about 22 years, I think it was, 21, 22 years. The next thing that I ran into him, we were writing to each other, and then I'd come undone on the helicopter thing, and I was in Segro, so I couldn't even see him. Yeah. But when they opened Supermax, at one stage they put him in Supermax, Now, I didn't get the Supermax, but that's where Imalat and all them were. So they considered him pretty heavy, as you can see. And but
what did he do? He did about 30 all up.
No. I'll tell you about what happened. We ran into each other at Goulburn. We spent about 3 or 4 years together up there in Goulburn. And he was a sweeper, and at Goulburn. And and I'll never forget. We're there one day. I was talking to Birdie. He used to get me inside, and the governor came through with his high-ranking officer. I don't know who he was, and he said, "Birdie, come over here and tell us how you shot Jockey Smith." I swear. And Bert said, "I'm not going to talk about shooting Jockey Smith." But he sort of let it go that, I did it, And I reckon this is why all this stuff that he didn't get cooked. They made him do 20 years. I mean, he's pretty old. He got out, I think he got out about 218. Maybe 219, but he was definitely mid-80s, and actually my lawyer came up with something. They were going to deport him. They were going to send him back to England. He hadn't been there since '48, and Dutton came up. Dutton wanted him out, and the lawyer came up. I'm going to hand it to his idea. They came up with this thing. He'd done the army training, and had some medals. And that saved him. That saved him, and his age, and the fact that he had no family over there. He had family here. That saved him. But we both finished up at Nowra Jail, and we both finished up in minimum security. Can you believe it? And it took me 50 years to get to minimum security. He'd done a bit of minimum down in Melbourne, but that's the first time I'd ever been to minimum. And we had a lot of talks. And he said, "John."
It would have been lovely for you, though.
Oh, it was, But he had all this stuff. He was writing stories about his life, and he used to give them to me. He'd slip them under. When I was at Goulburn, he'd slip them under the door when he's sweeping, and I'd read it all. I knew it, but I had a young guy with me. And this young guy was fascinated with it, and he'd say, "Make sure he reads it, John." I'd say, "You've got to read it because you're going to talk to you." And he got sick of reading all this stuff. So Bertie get him out and said, did you read about it? And he'd trick him. He'd say, "What about the bit?" And I said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "I didn't do that. It wasn't in that." So this kid was terrified. He had to read all this stuff. He towered over Bertie, but he was scared of him because he'd rip. And, it's just... Actually, the guy was a one-off character. You have a look at the peel. He knew that he operated with the Kane brothers, evil bastards, but he knew some of the toe cutters, didn't like them. All the notorious criminals, he knew them all. He knew some of the kangaroo gang that operated over in England. He knew some of them. Anybody was anybody. Freeman, he worked for him. He just about knew everybody. But this is a guy that wasn't well known to the public, but he was well known in the underworld. Anyway, he said to me, that's when he showed me all the stuff in the book at Goulburn. And this was just before we went to Nowra. And he said, because I went to Wellington before that, but he said, "I want you to write my book." I said, "All right, but I have to do it when I get out, we can't do it here." And then he's thinking about it, and he said, "You might never get out, John." He said, "You're a bad bastard." He said, he said, "They don't like you." And he was right. They didn't like me. And they did try to keep me in. I had to go to court to get out. So I said, "Yeah, you're better off getting." So he approached Adam Shan, or he got one of his friends who's a good guy, Adam. Or the guy that was helping Bert, a good friend of his. He approached him, but Adam Shan wanted too much money, which is, professional writer, you're entitled to do that.
He's a pro.
And he's a pro, and so that didn't happen. So then he got Simon to do it, and Simon did a pretty good job. But when we were at Nowra, we used to walk together, and Bertie go over to see, "What about the time?" And I heard the stories over and over and over and over.
And the Audacious Kid.
That's the Audacious Kid, the book, Audacious Kid. And if anybody wants it, I can get copies of it. Just email me, John R. Killick. Actually, I'll give you a site.
Well, we've got two. We've got our email, which we're putting up on the credits. Maccas6703 at Gmail as well. So we're putting that up regularly now, John, too. So if people want to comment or want a story
Oh,
for
yeah.
us to have a look
Well,
at,
well, they can contact you or me, and also any of my books if they want to buy any of my books. So they can do that. That'd be good, and I'll post them off to them and sign them. But some of Bertie's books as well, because Simon did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you've got to say, when you look at the cast of criminals, notorious criminals, he's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I got to say, he didn't have any remorse.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see remorse in criminals as they get older, and Bertie didn't have it.
Yeah.
He'll tell you, I haven't got remorse. I was a criminal. I lived my life, and as I said, this podcast is about a life. Yes. Bertie had if he liked you, he had a heart of gold. He'd do anything for you. Yep. So, I mean, he did like animals. Yeah. But the opposite side that he was to open horses, but he still loved animals. Yeah. And I know for a fact that...
And he was a mate of yours.
He was a mate of mine. Look, I've had mates that done some bad things. Yep. You draw the line at pedophiles and you know, I even draw the line at people who hit women and that sort of stuff. You know, it's just the way that I am. But
we've gone into that recently as well.
But the fact is that
go with us. Yeah, so
he was never convicted of any murders. The guys that we're talking about that were murdered, supposedly gunned down in cold blood. Mick Sayers, who was just, in my opinion, a good guy, funny guy. You know, and got killed over gambling debts. You know, you don't kill people over gambling debts. You know, so but people do kill them. Yeah, but so I would say that I think that I went to his funeral, as you know.
Just recently.
Yeah, I got out of a sick bed actually to go down there, and I went down there with a couple of good friends of mine. Dean came down. He took a day off work, come down there, and he knew. Dean was one of the guys that actually used to walk around with us at Nowra, and listen to the stories. Yeah, we heard the stories for years, and there were so many stories that I've only covered probably a tenth of what I know about Bertie, but I've covered, I think, most of the important things. There's some stories I can't tell. But
we're on the location today at Randwick where it was alleged that this...
That's right, that's right.
You've got some shots outside the laundry there of exactly where it happened, which is just across the street.
Well, the amazing thing is...
Bloody hailstorm.
Well, the amazing thing is still there.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It looks like the original sign, John. It's an old...
Well, Roy Thurger owned it. His wife owned it. His wife owned it, and I don't know if she's still alive or not, but I knew Roy Thurger, and, you know, he was a heavy criminal himself.
Yeah.
And Desi Lewis was less, but was a bit of a thug, ex-boxer, but they were the guys that got killed anyway. But the thing is, I personally think the shooting of Jockey Smith brought about his demise. He was never the same after that. You know, right. And he's done that shoplifting thing, which personally he went on the run for that.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is, I think, of all the stories we've done, he would probably be the biggest criminal of all the people that we've done, undoubtedly.
And like royalty, like you said, but a lot of other Australians wouldn't know a lot about.
Well, they said when he died, criminal royalty, and that's what they said. Criminal. And you've got to say that. And if you knew all the things that he did, but when he got up in the morning, he was thinking, now what can I do to get some money now? And he made a lot of money over the years.
Yes.
But he did safe cracking, counterfeiting, armed robberies.
He had a finger in a lot of different
hiding in planes, trying to get $1 million bucks, and nearly come off. You know, when you think about it, he just never stopped.
Mate, your knowledge of it has been fantastic as usual. And like I say, he was still a mate of yours, and you've talked about, you know, we're not here to slag or anything like that.
Well, I went down to the funeral. It was a lovely funeral down there, and the service, well, not a lot, but it's raining.
Yeah.
It was raining like today.
We got smashed.
And it was like that. But the thing is, the people that counted were there.
Yeah.
You know, his brothers were there, and his son was there, and ex-wife and whatnot. But the thing is, the people that cared about him, his daughter Wendy was there. Adam Shan was there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Adam Shan was there too.
He's quite well known. I've seen some of his stuff. He's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's done some good podcasts and written a lot. Well, he's one of the better known writers in Australia, crime writers, no doubt about it. But the way I see it is, he's gone. He's lived a pretty good life, long life. But when you think about it, they made him do 20, and in my opinion, that was a payback. For a lot of stuff that they really got away with, and but you look at the end, you look at the ledger, and there's a guy who done over 30 years, but he didn't go to first went to jail when he was 39. Yeah. So it's really about, he's done about 20 of the last 50. Yeah. No, 30. He's done about 30 of the last 50. Yeah. So they really got him in the end, didn't they? Yeah. Oh, they really got him in the end. Yeah.
But, mate, thanks very much. I'm going to come over and sit with you in a second. We're going to wrap up, John. And there's a few shout-outs.
Yeah, I think you should do that. That's great.
Because we both want to thank a lot of long-term viewers.
Oh, they're great. Every time they
absolutely.
They comment. Yeah.
We'll have a quick shout-out to Whitehall again. And
yeah, definitely.
So we'll be back in 1 second. I'll come over with you.
Okay, I'll hang on it. Okay, all right. Well... It isn't amazing it stopped now, you know.
Oh, I just can't believe every time we come out we get smashed on something.
It's always a Friday.
Yeah. Every bloody time.
You know, I wanted to rob a bank way back.
Yeah.
When I was running with Lucy, right?
That's unusual.
No, but I wanted to do it on a Friday because I had a special reason I wanted to do it on a Friday. It was a country town, right? Yeah. And we waited 7 weeks before it rained. And when it rained, and when I went to do it, a little girl was in the back of the car looking at me, waving at me. And I called it off. Yeah. I thought, you know, little girl.
You're a gentleman, though. You're a gentleman. You're a gentleman. All right, mate.
But, you know, when you really want it to rain, it doesn't rain.
No, I don't know. You can't predict anything.
You probably should cut that bit out.
All right. Are you right, Maccas? So we're just going to wrap up now. So, g'day. Welcome back. We're just going to wrap up. And again, thanks, John, and sharing your stories as a mate of his.
It was a pleasure to talk about it. And as I said, he probably knew more criminals over the past. When I knew a lot of them, but he knew a lot that I didn't know, like the Kane brothers and even the Toe.
We could do something on that. Those Kane brothers was pretty hardcore. Pretty hardcore.
The toe cutters. Well, Ronnie, we did one on Ronnie Isherwood. He had
lovely bloke.
He had a shootout with the bloody Kane brothers. So
I think we should do something there down the track. We got so many stories to do, don't we? Yeah. And we're concentrating now on not so much guests. We're hitting the bricks on the streets. Yeah. Yourself, Maccas, the three of us, and get out there and get to the locations, and that's what we want to do.
Try and go where all these things happen.
Absolutely, and we've just got a bunch of stuff to do, mate.
It's hard to believe that this park's still here, where allegedly. Well,
it's a huge park too. It's flooded at the moment. It's a huge park, really.
And straight across the street.
Very nice. Yeah.
That guy was sitting in a car in May 1991, got his head blown off.
Excuse me.
But you can imagine what
it was a pretty horrific, oh, mate, he would have been a mess. But look, I want to do some shout-outs to some people. We've had a lot of long-term supporters that have been with us from the start, from number 9, from crime. So, firstly, Dan in the USA, who had a lot to do with Birdie and talked to him regularly. He was really.
He loves Birdie.
He loves Birdie, and he used to talk to him regularly on the phone. So good on you, Dan. Bevan's just been an absolute champion and legend.
He's been on the show 3 times. Always got great things to say about the show, and he's
big supporter. Got us a lot of subscribers. Thank you, Bev.
He did. He's got a lot of.
Oh, mate, Tony in WA. His comments are fantastic. JW, which I think's in WA, fantastic comments. Dan in Vietnam. We got Sando, Darren Kemp, Leslie Blackburn, Sub 523 on the missus. Thank you very much. Simon
Volkmere.
Yeah, in the UK. Yeah,
In the UK, Volkmere. If I've pronounced it wrong, I'm
every
sorry.
time he's always got.
Mate, he's you know, we've got people in Canada and in the UK, and thank you very much. Chris Lake, Cars Lake Sean, thank you very much. Ian Bruiser. We've got Samantha. We'd call it Samantha, but I think it's Samantha Haag, and she's commented a lot. Thank you, Samantha. James Lancaster. Play It Strange. Fiona from Coss Harbour. Taties, thank you very much. We love Fiona. And also Ted and Ben in Perth. And finally, Maccas from Central Coast Hot Water, who saved my ass when the hot water thing blew up.
And
just
Marie's
recently.
always pushing us.
Yes, thank you very much, Marie, as well. Yeah, thank you very much. And everyone. And we've got, I'm going to do more shout outs. I'm just going through the list. These are long-term people and we appreciate it.
So next time you'll do some more.
We'll do some more every time. That was episode 61. Yeah. We've done 66 podcasts, 187,300 views, and we've got 1,380 subscribers. So it's not a lot to most people, but it's a lot to us, John. We started with 3 subscribers, so thank you.
Well,
you know?
you're only a little organisation, and I think you're doing very well.
We're a small mob,
and anybody who hasn't subscribed, please do, because it does help. And
please do,
and even send it to the link to your friends, and I'll send it to it.
Absolutely, and of course, thank you to Whitehall.
Well, Whitehall does that. It does ask people to do it for us, and I think
they're fantastic. We're going to get that infomercial. Thank you, Steve, and the team, Whitehall and Associates. We can't speak highly enough about them. With wills and anything illegal, get in touch with them. We always put the graphics up there.
Well, I think the thing with Whitehall, what has come out is that, and we've learned, they haven't been going all that long, but the fact is that they will look at something, if they feel they can't adequately do it, they will recommend someone else to you. Now, not many lawyers will do that.
No, they won't. No, they won't. And that's really good. And no win, no fee.
Yeah.
You know, they've just been fantastic supporters of us, and we really do appreciate it.
We need to get the girl in, one of the girls.
Yes, we want to get that infomercial done.
And I will get on to Steve about that.
Yeah, it's just all time, but it will happen. So thank you very much, everyone, today. Thank you, John, talking about a mate of his. And for your honesty and your knowledge always, mate.
Well, I didn't want to.
Great to have you back.
I didn't want to make a hero of him, but I didn't want to put him down either, because as I said, it was a life.
It's his story and his life.
It's his story.
Yep.
I've met a lot more evil people than he was never evil. He was never evil, and he believed in what he was doing. He was a creamy. He copped it on the chin when he got caught.
Yep. And whether you think it was right or wrong, it happened, and it was his life.
Well, that's right. That's right.
So, and thank you to family too, his family members, and we're here just to talk about that. We're not here to upset anyone.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And I saw his family.
You were telling me.
At the funeral, they were there, and they looked after him towards the end when it was important.
Yep.
And, there's not much more in saying.
No. Thank you very much to everybody. Thank you. It's great to have the great man back. And that was episode 61. We'll be back with 62 very soon. We got a shitload to do. And we're going to stick to the streets and stick to the old school crime. At the moment, we're holding on guests. We just want to hit the bricks and get this stuff done.
I think it's great to get out where the actual things happen.
Absolutely,
you know,
mate. Little fella's excited.
As I told the guy there when we went in the laundromat, I said, "You don't understand." He didn't know.
No, he didn't. No,
he's
a young bloke.
Historical story. This is where actually a bit of history. It's not good history, but it's history.
But he got interested when you spoke to him. Yeah.
And a lot of Australia is based on criminal history.
Yeah, absolutely.
We
based on a criminal colony. I mean, you know.
And we're not taking anything away from the Aboriginal who got their own history before.
Absolutely.
But the culture that's started when we came over here with the whites and the criminals that we've produced.
Yep.
That have come over here, starting with not starting, but sort of Ned Kelly stands out, doesn't he? And and like Ned Kelly, when you look at him and what he did, he did some bad things, but he's still a legend. But people
He did some
look
bad
back,
things, but they did some bad things
they-
for his family
they
too.
look
Yeah.
at it and see that there was a reason, and time does erode the difference between
Absolutely.
these things, and he stands out as a guy who had a lot of courage. And the old saying, this game is net killing. And I would say, if I said it about any crim, his game is Bertie Kidd, because he did have that courage.
Yeah, they
that
go.
He would take an egg, and
What a dash.
it wouldn't be easy sitting in a plane in a box.
Oh, mate.
I prefer to be sitting in a box.
It was a bit of a classic. And thank you for bearing with us today on the weather. We always get flogged with weather and noise and wind and cars, and we got smashed. We had to get through that. It was a hailstorm, and we're sitting in this little shed and we're freezing our ass off. And
I think it's a challenge. It always seems to happen, but
it does. It follows us. But anyway, that was great. That was 61, and we'll be back for 62 very shortly. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you soon.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
How's that, Marcus? Let's go and eat.